Ladies, gentlemen, shit just hit the fan big time because we just got leaks about essentially the entire game of Call of Duty 2020. Multiplayer, zombies, and Warzone. Yes, you didn't hear me wrong. Warzone has just got leaked for Call of Duty 2020. And apparently this information is actually from what seems to be like a QA tester or something. Now, keep in mind, this is still just rumors. We haven't seen gameplay or anything like that. And a lot of this seems like early information. So a lot of this could potentially change. But it does seem relatively reputable and make a lot of sense. So that's what we're going to be going over in this video. But in the rest of this video, we are going to be covering everything that we now know about Call of Duty 2020, how finished it is, what the multiplayer actually looks like, including health, weapons, create a class, pretty much everything about it. And then on top of that, at the end of this video, we are going to be talking about Warzone. And essentially the way that this is going to be working, it appears as though Warzone is going to remain free to play. Treyarch is going to develop a completely new map with new weapons for Warzone, and that will be coming with the launch of the game, which is huge, massive news. And of course, later in the video, we are going to be talking about that. So without further ado, we have a ton to talk about, so let's just dive into it. So first things first, let's start from the basics. The source doesn't know what the actual title of the game is going to be. Apparently, that's something they actually decide later on, closer to the end of the development. What we do know is it does take place in the Cold War era, just like the rumors were telling us. The rumor as of right now is that it's probably going to be a reboot of the Black Ops series, and it is going to be called Call of Duty Black Ops. We don't know if it'll continue the story from the other Black Ops games, but that's all we know. Now, there's been rumors that this game isn't even close to being finished. Apparently that is absolutely not the case, but at this point we still don't know when this is going to be released, when we're going to get teasers, when we're going to get trailers, but apparently it's in a pretty damn good state. So with this, we found out that the campaign is pretty much fully done. You can play through the whole thing. The only thing that's missing is some voice actors here or there and a few animation, but other than that, you can play through the entire campaign already, which is great to hear. It means we're probably going to be getting a pretty damn good campaign, which of course, as you guys know, I am looking forward to. And like I said before, it's going to take place in that Cold War era. The other mode, Zombies, we don't really know anything about. All we really got out of this is that Zombies is going to be in the game. We just, as of right now, don't know to what capacity. Now, moving over to the multiplayer side of things, this is where we have most of the information. So I'm not going to do too much editing in this video. I'm just going to tell you guys about everything we know. That way you guys can give me your opinions down in the comments. So let me know what you think of all of this down in the comments as we go. But the first thing that is returning is the standard mini-map. So unlike Modern Warfare, when you shoot your weapon without a silencer, you will show up on that mini-map, which to me is fantastic. I wish Modern Warfare had that, but this is going to be returning similar to what we've seen before in Call of Duty games. The one thing that is different, in Black Ops 4, they had something called Fog of War. That is not returning, and I think that is a positive for most people. The other thing that is coming back for Modern Warfare is the compass at the top middle of the screen. This is not really a surprise. It's kind of a standard in most Battle Royale games, so just throw it in there in multiplayer as well. Why not? There's also no mounting or leaning, which to me makes me so happy. I hate mounting in Modern Warfare. I do know that some people do like this. So again, if this is something you disagree with, feel free to let me know down in the comments. I'm just giving you my opinion. As far as sliding goes, there is sliding. So if you hold crouch while running, you will slide. There is no dolphin diving. I know that is sometimes in the Black Ops games, but it's not in this one. Once again, swimming is returning, which was of course in Black Ops 4 and I believe Black Ops 3 as well. And this is going to be returning in both multiplayer and Warzone. Apparently there's a big lake down the middle of the Warzone map. Like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit. And some of the multiplayer maps have some water on them as well, which you can use to traverse the map in very different ways, which I think is a good thing. And it's really no surprise. It's been in the last couple Treyarch games, so no surprise that it's in this one. There is no tac sprint like in Modern Warfare. This one, it doesn't really bother me either way. It'll just kind of come down to what the overall sprint speed in this next Call of Duty game is. And then the last thing in this vein is doors. Doors are in the game, but doors are not in multiplayer. They are only in Warzone. And if you ask me, this is the perfect medium. I do not like doors in multiplayer, but I think doors work great in a battle royale. So the fact that they're not putting them in multiplayer and putting them in Warzone, to me, is hitting the head of the nail. As far as maps go, certain maps were detailed, but we don't know what's going to change there. But the overarching information that we know about this is it sounds like they're classic Treyarch maps. And with classic Treyarch maps, essentially what this means is 3-lane maps in various locations. And as we know, based off of the information, they should be set in the Cold War era. The other thing with maps is we heard that there is 10 of them, which is a good number, but I still would like to see more at launch. But keep in mind, that is something that can definitely change. For that, we're basically just going to have to wait and see for a map number. The next part of multiplayer that we have here is that there are no specialist characters. Now, this means there's no specialist abilities. It doesn't mean that there's going to be no characters in multiplayer like we have operators in Modern Warfare. In fact, I'm probably guessing that there will be, because they're going to have to implement skins in one way or another, because we know there's going to be microtransactions in the game. So we don't know how that's going to work, but there is no specialist abilities. However, there are field upgrades similar to what we have in Modern Warfare. Now, there are going to be field upgrades, but I'm guessing these are more like support field upgrades, kind of like we see in Modern Warfare, and we definitely had some of those in Black Ops 4 as well, like for example a munitions box or something along those lines. There's also regular equipment that you can choose one of, so things like grenades, molotovs, stuns, things along those lines, but apparently there is only one grenade slot, so it'll probably be either your right or left bumper, and that is going to be the only one that you can choose in your create a class. Speaking of create a class, there is some things that we found out about this. So first of all, it sounds like there's going to be no gunsmith. It's kind of unclear at this point. We don't know how many attachments you're going to be able to use or how or anything like that. It seems like it almost might be more like the old school create a class like that we had in Call of Duty 4. This part was kind of unclear. We'll have to wait and see, and I also could see this being something that changes later on. Personally, I really like the pick 10 system, but I also like the freedom that the gunsmith has in Modern Warfare. So for this, we're going to have to wait and see, but it seems like it's going to be something different that we haven't seen before. The only other thing with create a class that I find interesting is that apparently there is going to be no dead silence. I'm guessing there's still 3 different perk tiers like we've seen in pretty much every different Call of Duty game, but apparently dead silence is not one of them. And personally, I think that's a mistake. As far as rushing and playing fast like that, dead silence is pretty much necessary because you're at a disadvantage if you're not using it. So hopefully we do see it in the game, but apparently it's currently not there. As far as kill streaks / score streaks go, it appears as though we are getting score streaks, which I really like. I really enjoy the idea of being able to play the objective, get points towards those kill streaks for that. So I've always enjoyed this in games, and it's good to see that this is probably returning. And as far as the score streaks themselves, they seem pretty standard as far as Call of Duty goes. The only other ones that I found interesting is it seems like some of the old specialist abilities, like Outrider's Sparrow, Firebreak's Purifier, and Seraph's Annihilator Pistol, might actually be coming back as score streaks, which to me is pretty interesting. I can't wait to see how that works out. The final thing that we have to talk about with multiplayer is how the game actually plays. So first of all, we know that it's 150 health, not 100 health. Now, essentially right now, this means nothing because we don't know what the damage of the weapons are. It could feel exactly like a 100 health game, or it could have a longer time to kill. Personally, I actually like the longer time to kill, but I know not everyone is that way. You can feel free to let me know what you think about that down below. Now, the other thing we know is that it's not manual healing, so you don't have to hit yourself with a stim to heal back up like you did in Black Ops 4. It is auto heal, and there is still a health bar. So I don't mind this decision. I personally like manual healing, but I'm also fine with an auto heal, and I love that there's a health bar. I love to be able to see how much health I have before I re-engage in another gunfight. The other thing that we know is that this game is going to be 6v6, not 5v5, which again I think is good. I think it plays a little bit faster. And the other weird thing is that as of right now, there is no evidence of a prestige system. So what does this mean? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be similar to Modern Warfare, where every single season your level resets to 55 and then you have to level up again, or if they're going to implement prestiges later. This is something that they do late in development, so we're gonna have to wait and see. But as of right now, there is no prestige system. Personally, I love to see the prestige system. Hopefully it returns. Now, as of right now, there's really no evidence of there being these larger scale games like Modern Warfare has a Ground War. However, apparently there is a mode that takes sections of the new Warzone map, makes them smaller, and then you can play on those. Now, we don't know whether those are going to be 6v6 areas, 50v50 areas like we have with Warzone Rumble right now. We don't know, but there is something like that that'll be in the game. We just don't exactly know how it's going to work. Now, as far as the other Warzone details that we know, essentially it seems like how it's going to work is you'll download Warzone if you're a free-to-play player, and essentially they will be adding a new map, and you'll be using the Black Ops or COD 2020, whatever the game is called, weapons and perks and characters and things like that on that given map. Whereas if you just select the Modern Warfare map, you will use the Modern Warfare stuff on that map. Things like that may change. I don't actually fully understand how it works, but that is what it sounds like to me. Now, as far as the rest of the Warzone details, we don't really know. It's kind of confusing because I don't know how this is going to work with different weapons, a different map from a different game. The only really thing we know about the map is that there's a lake going down the middle that you can swim through, which is totally different than Warzone. So like I said, it's kind of confusing to see what's going to go on with this, and maybe we'll make another video in the future kind of speculating a little bit more about this, but it's definitely interesting, and I really enjoy Warzone. I really enjoyed Blackout, so put them together, this could be fantastic. So as far as what are my thoughts on this, what are my opinions on this, as far as everything I'm hearing about multiplayer, it actually sounds pretty fantastic. The fact that the game's actually a lot further along than a lot of the reports were saying is definitely good. I'm glad to hear that. As far as a release date, I have no idea. The fact that we have no teaser, no trailer, it's kind of scaring me, but at the same time, I'm really still hoping for October or maybe early November, but like I said, we're going to have to wait to see for that. But the rest of the multiplayer details sounds really, really good to me. I just want to see some gameplay, if I'm being honest. The two downsides I hear about the multiplayer is, one, only 10 maps. I'd like to see a lot more, but like I said, this is early development, so we may actually see a lot more than 10. The other thing is no dead silence. I really want dead silence. I think that's one of the worst things about the multiplayer this year, so I'd like to see that change going forward. But again, we'll have to wait to see for that. And as far as the Warzone thing, we've kind of already talked about this. I just can't wait to see what they do with this. I am really interested, but like I said, honestly, this brings up a lot more questions than answers for me. So this is pretty much all of the information that we have, and as more and more comes out, of course, I will keep you guys updated. So if you're not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, have notifications on. We're on our way to 1 million, so be sure to subscribe to be a part of that. Also, if you enjoyed the video, it's always appreciated if you hit that like button, and as always, I am super curious to hear what you guys have to say about this, so let me know what you think down in the comments. Like I said, I'm just curious at this point. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
Listen.